I thank and congratulate the entire team of SSMB and MX Media who has taken this initiative and created a platform to initiate this dialogue. I hope we shall or are surely getting out through the difficult times that we have recently had, and we have understood that world is facing a grave situation through climate change. When I sit back alone on terrace watering my plants, I ask myself that are these natural disasters a warning sign to mankind to live in peace with nature? Have we encroached the nature and have taken things for granted? Perhaps the recent lockdown is way of healing the earth. We are all chasing lives without having any goal or purpose, and at what cost? We have somehow become ignorant about our time, about our spaces, about our places. We have forgotten our ancient basic design principles, and we are living in an illusion. Is this the nature's way to tell us to go slow, go minimal? Is it possible to have time for ourselves, to experience silence? In past few years, we have learned that nothing is more important than our mental health and wellness. Can we stop treating everything like a commodity? Is it high time to realize that we live in sync with nature? Yes, the future of new architecture is of sustainable living, sustainable workspaces that promotes eco-friendly living and creates healthy environment. So what is sustainable? Sustainability in simple terms to me means building that conserves natural resources. It means to increase light. It means to enhance the air quality. It means to design with healthy materials. And it means to inspire. According to some studies, building construction is responsible for 50% of climate change. More than 40% of energy is used in building technology. The building generates as much as 50% of construction waste that is used as landfill. Construction activity creates 23% of air pollution and also pollutes 40% of drinking water and disturbs the natural habitats. Moreover, the construction activities consume half of the natural resources extracted from the nature. This means that the sustainable development cannot be done without the fundamental change in which the buildings are constructed. Today, I am delighted to inform you that we at Pooja and Piyush Associates are leading our way in developing more sustainable construction industry by reducing the carbon footprint and buildings to remain footprint of the buildings to remain as a top priority. Today, if we examine the three basic challenges that the construction industry faces, is the labor shortage, safety, and adapting to the new technology. So how do we build? Unfortunately, concrete is not environmental friendly material either to make, use, or even to dispose of. A lot of energy and water is used to gain the raw materials to make concrete. Quarrying of sand and other aggregates causes environmental destruction and pollution. So we witness constant delays in handling over the sites due to either labor issues or raised cost in construction material or due to shortage of material supply at times. Building vernacular, apart from bamboo, precast concrete, reclaimed wood, and adobe, steel has emerged as a sustainable material. Presently, human civilization has entered into the fourth generation of innovation, from discovery of machines in first phase to discovery of electricity in second, and now the discovery of internet in the third phase. In present, some innovations and advanced technologies are already popular abroad, which could be well suited for applications in an Indian scenario. Steel is one of the best materials used for construction and to withstand extreme forces like strong winds and earthquake. In combination with concrete and steel can be used in construction for columns, beams, deck slabs, as well as staircases to make the entire building. That is the reason why steel buildings are becoming number one choice for commercial constructions, because they are fast, affordable, durable, and above all, extremely safe. Steel is a tensile material. We know the advantages of steel. The sections can be produced off-site at shop floors and assembled on site. It saves time, increases the efficiency, and overall the construction process. Durable steel structures can withstand all external pressures without, like earthquakes, thunderstorms, and cyclones. We have reliability in the steel as a material is of industrial nature. The construction speed is there. There is uniformity, high performance, elasticity, ductility and warning before failure, recyclability. There is always a scrap value. So steel should always be termed as an investment and not as a cost liability to the person who is developing. And thus it becomes more sustainable and innovative way to build. Today, the health and safety, if we look at the steel buildings offer more health and safety as compared to any other conventional styles of constructions. As far as sustainability is concerned, we reduce the cost almost by 33% when we take the steel as a recyclability factor. We reduce the time of construction by more than 50% and greenhouse emissions by more than 50%. Thus, steel buildings become more sustainable. They are environmentally, socially, and economically from all fronts more viable. Although we have limitations of steel, like you need complete planning before execution, you need additional time for designing. There is a higher cost of construction, higher cost for the structural steel as compared to RCC. You require skilled laborers, and extensive fireproofing cost is involved in the steel structures, and are prone to corrosion in humid and marine environment. Today, I present before you 3 case studies that we have dealt with. One of them is my own house. It's an architect's residence. It's the first building, which is pre-engineered building. It is constructed in almost 2013 and has been rated by IGBC as platinum rated building in residential sector. This is a house for 2 brothers. The idea was to construct house that should reflect an architect's residence. It should be minimal with innovative construction technology. It should be ahead of times. The materials that should be used should reflect their own identity. It should be in their true form, overall sustainable, ecological, and climatically responsive. So we have the site plan. We have a rectangular plan. It's an effortless rectangle with non-defining spaces. While we design, you see the roads on 2 sides. The site is mostly east and north facing. So taking the sun path into consideration, we have kept all our private spaces, that are the bedroom spaces, on the western side, and all the living spaces on the eastern side that you see in yellow color. The entire building is enveloped with green balconies or veranda kind of structure, so that the entire house is protected from all the natural forces. You see a plain rectangle. The I sections are the columns, and the steel structure allows us to have long spans. The entire external orange things that you see are the clay blocks. They are hollow clay blocks which insulate the entire building. The black walls are the lightweight block walls, and all the internal walls are removed, and we have either wardrobes or partitions dividing the entire spaces. So we have a free flow of air, ventilation from all the sides, which keeps this entire house climatically cool. There is a courtyard on the 2nd floor or terrace that helps to exhaust the hot air from the top. The entire construction is done in steel composite structure because of its advantages like precision, accuracy, speed, large span, conserving natural resources. The entire framework was completed in 7 days. I call this normally when I say to my clients that this is iPhone 6 model, because during those times we did not have the option of deck sheets. Perhaps there was, but I was more, being an architect, we wanted RCC roofs, the concrete roofing, exposed concrete roof. So we decided to have the columns and beams in steel. The slabs are casted individually as we do it conventionally. So the entire structure, the framework is erected in 7 days. And this is the entire look and feel of the completed thing. The orange things are the hollow clay blocks which are exposed. We have not plastered the building from inside or outside. The black fins uh, insulate the entire thing. We have tall apartments from all the three sides, so it offers privacy, and they are all pivoted windows, pivoted fins, so you can rotate them and adjust the incoming light as per the seasons. That's the northeast elevation. So from the northwest to southeast, we have enveloped the entire building with the clay blocks, which insulates the entire building from the heat. And the north and east has the fins, which gives a modern character to the entire building. That's the northwest elevation, where all the bedrooms are there. The use of fins offers privacy, reduces glare, reduces the radiation, and offers tangibility, and replaces the conventional grills. We don't have any grills in this house. The hollow clay blocks become a part of interiors as well. They create a backdrop from the interiors. We have not plastered it from both the sides, reducing the cost of or the material use that goes in plastering, cement, sand, and mortar. And there is no POP, there is no paint, so it becomes maintenance free. Few interior shots of the living room, how the light enters into the house, the courtyard or the terrace, which is open to sky. The sliding folding doors makes it open, gives an inside-outside look. The balconies are used for keeping the connecting to the nature by having landscaped elements. The courtyard has a dramatic play of light. Apart from us, there are other visitors also who make them as a part of our own house. So if you analyze this entire building, more than 86% of the spaces are ventilated, more than 25% of energy is conserved in form of electricity, 39% of water saving is done, and this house has no lintels, no chajjas, no grills, no false ceiling, minimum walls, minimum plaster, almost negligible POP, paint surfaces are also minimum. That is what makes this house more livable or healthy when you term it terms of a healthy building. We also term steel as a healthy building. It has consumed almost or saved more than 55% of natural resources in form of cement, sand, and aggregates plus water. The second case study is the nuts and bolts house that is we have constructed again in Aurangabad. This was constructed in 2019. Again, this was a house for an investment consultant. He wanted to build a house and an office for himself. It's a small plot of 1800 square feet, and he wanted to move as soon as possible. The house, since the plot was small, the area left after leaving the side margins were very less. So again, we followed the sun path diagram and accordingly placed our spaces. So we have all the living areas on the east side, and on the west side we have the service areas like toilets, staircase, utility area. The central area is the living room, and on the adjoining sides we have either bedrooms or kitchen. So there is no circulation space. The internal walls are all divided through furniture elements. There are no internal walls unless and until services are required, and all the external walls are again clay blocks. So it's a clean rectangle, and all the columns are on the periphery of the building. There are no internal columns that become a hurdle inside the space. This is the cross section. On the ground floor we have parking, a living room and an office. On the first floor in the center we have a family room cum dining. On the right side we have kitchen. On the left side we have master's bedroom. And on the second floor we have 2 bedrooms with a family lounge. And the staircase centrally connects all the floors and also creates a hot air stack effect through which the air exhausts. This is the exploded view. So we have all the 4 columns. Now this becomes the next model where we have introduced deck sheets. They are all again exposed. Again, this structure was a composite steel building structure, and it was we have almost saved 40% of natural resources as compared to conventional RCC building. There was no source of water here. We used to receive corporation water once in 4 days. So that was the only source of water. So that also became one of the prime factors to build such a structure. Hardly 4 tankers of water was required for the entire work. The entire building was completed in 8 days. That's the 0 day. On day first, the entire frame structure was done. By the end of day 3, we had all the deck sheets in place. And on the 7th and 8th day, on the 8th day, we had all the slabs casted in one go within around 4 hours. We have a time-lapse video of how this building was constructed. So that's day 1. All the columns are circular in nature because they are supposed to be exposed and were a part of elevation. So we see an integration of architecture and structure. Each floor plate is almost 900 square feet. On day 2, we started laying the deck sheets. We had already kept the reinforcement ready, and they were again kept on the slab, and we laid the reinforcement along with studs. The electrical conduiting and the service lines were also laid in the next 2 days. The alignment of the structure and everything took another 2 days. And on the 7th day, with the help of ready-mix concrete, we casted all the floor slabs in hardly 4 to 4.5 hours. So the entire shell was completed in almost 8 days, and the rest of the interiors and the civil works, including electrical, plumbing, furniture, everything was completed in next 4 months. So that made that you were able to shift the entire construction process, including the interiors, was done in hardly 6 months. The aim of the architecture was to create and offer natural, healthy spaces that would become maintenance free, would be built by using maximum recyclable materials, and would reduce the environmental impact. So this was the use of deck slab, which offered the speed in the construction. Being lightweight, it created less waste also, and overall 50% of concrete was also reduced in form of slab. Connection details, architectural details were worked out in collaboration with the structural designer. This was the final look of the entire building. The columns and the beams were exposed. These are the salvaged wooden luvers that created a play of light and this thing in the interiors, and also replaced the grills. The windows have external luvers, so that again modulated the incoming light inside the interiors. The interiors are also planned according to the structures. The deck sheets were left open and they reflected the traditional architecture of rafters. We painted them in 2 tones, grey and white. The entire theme was grey and white. The floorings was of Jaisalmer. So this is the final image. The partition, the wallpaper that you see is just a wardrobe from of the bedroom. And we at some places had false ceiling in form of artwork. So overall, if I compare, almost 66% or 69% of concrete is saved in form of cement, sand and aggregates. Steel, of course, it was increased by more than 50%. The water was saved by 69%. If I calculate the embodied energy because of the use of steel as a virgin material, it is 6%. When you take into consideration the recyclability factor, that would definitely reduce. The carbon emission still has been reduced by 10%. So that is the advantage of when you compare steel buildings with RCC buildings. This is an affordable housing or a staff quarters at Gangapur. This is again a case study which we have proposed to our clients. So this is on the same principles. We have done a case study again in form of comparative analysis between RCC and steel. So this is the rough plan. You have around 8 units per floor and 6,000 square feet floor plate. So I have compared, if you compare the footings of the conventional RCC structures that is on the upper side with respect to the steel fabricated structure, you see that the number of footings are reduced because of the spans that steel structure offers, reduced size of foundations as well as compared to RCC footing. The layout of the beams also has been very clean and non-complicated. So when I analyze this building also, more than 72% of concrete is saved in form of cement, sand and aggregates. Steel, however, is 30% extra required as compared to conventional RCC structure. 72% of water is also saved. Embodied energy here, because of the concrete, has been reduced by 72%, and the carbon emissions are reduced by almost 24%. Few of the ongoing projects that we are having, and this is a semi-commercial building come residential building. The upper 2 floors are residences and the lower 2 floors are commercial spaces. This is again a 5-story structure. All the 5-story slabs were constructed in a single day. This is a residence in Develgaon Raja. This is also the structure is all done. We are the client did not want the steel structure to be seen, so here we are using cavity walls and sandwich the entire steel structures between the 2 walls, and that's how the elevation is going to look. So this is almost 15,000 square feet villa with courtyards and everything. We have also tried with labor quarters using Tata Structura steel. This one bay is of 8 units and 3,000 square feet. It's a labor colony for seed industry. So each unit has a living space, a kitchen and a utility with a veranda in front. Like that we have 8 units and hardly 3 tons of steel is used. All the internal walls are of Aerocon partition. The entire construction was done in hardly 1.5 months. So you have natural light coming from the north side. These are the interior spaces. So in spite there are no windows, there's a window in the kitchen and the upper window with a sloping roof. So that exhausts the hot air also as well as brings in the fresh light. Keeps the entire room airy and filled with light. The toilet block at the rear. Continuing the process, we are trying to create modern elements, look like images of the residences, which look modern. These are form of panels that can just float from here to there and be a sun shading device, which would create play of light and shade. It has a central courtyard. This residence is proposed in Baramati. This is a commercial building for Raymonds. So we have on the 3 floors showroom, and on the upper floor we have an corporate office for the client. Unfortunately, during the COVID times, this project was just like that, and it is now no longer being constructed in steel because of the abrupt rise in the cost of the steel. The economics went haywire. So this was for showrooms, I guess steel structures offer more scope, keeping in mind the revenue that the business would generate. Farmhouses projects. farmhouses at hilly spaces. So yes, so for the first time in the history, we see a human psyche that is affected in the manner it is, and we is adaptable and open for change. It would be interesting to see how we all respond, and would be exciting to see how things from here eventually work and transform. Uh, Let us, as consultants, as designers, change our preferences to the materials and act responsibly, do less, reduce the carbon footprint, and have a conscious approach. Thank you very much.